Hey guys, it's part 3 of the Super Castlevania 4 playthrough. In this stage we have a cave section, a waterfall climb section, and an aquatic ruin section. Great stuff in this stage, except for the aquatic ruin section. I don't like that section much, but we'll get to that when we get there. First we have the stage, and the cave. The cave is filled with a couple different types of enemies. You have your typical bats, these mud golems right here, which will split upon you hitting them, and you just hit them a bunch of times and they will die. They'll split into more copies and then eventually explode. You have some bone pillars, your typical stuff. They're in almost every stage. As far as hazards go on this stage, you have a few spiked pits, and there's some platforming, but nothing too strenuous. There's also water that falls from the ceiling, and I don't know if that hurts you. I don't think it does, but when I was playing this, I thought it did. I'd have to go back and test that out, but I'm sure somebody knows. The cave section is pretty easy compared to the other two. In fact, I'd consider it probably the easiest block of all of them. And I don't think I finished explaining the block system thing in the top right corner. I'll do it right now. The first number is the stage you're in. See, we're in stage 3 right now. And the second number is the section you're in. Right now we're in section 1, and most stages usually have 3 sections, with a boss at the end usually. Sometimes in the middle in section 2, and sometimes in section 1. It happens. And now we are in the waterfall climb section. Oh, I should probably talk about that item. That item I just got. That it is a Roman numeral number 2, and that allows you to throw more sub-weapons. Like before I had that, I could only have one cross on the screen at a time, but now that I got that, I can have 2 crosses on the screen at one time, which is quite helpful, especially for bosses. You can get another one for 3, but that's where it stops. It stops at 3. It's very helpful for some bosses, and with the 3 Roman numeral and the cross, you can decimate bosses. Unfortunately, for this stage, I don't have the cross or the Roman numerals for the boss because I die in the aquatic ruin section. One of the only times I die in this whole playthrough. I know, seeing me die is a strange thing. It doesn't happen much, but it does. I'm not invincible, as some of you may think I am. This section is filled, it's got quite a few grappling sections, and at this point you should probably be getting familiar with those, because they do play a large part in later stages. And in later stages, if you mess up on them, you're gonna die. And here we are at the aquatic ruin section. This section has a new type of enemy called mermen. They pop out of the water and spit at you, and when you get hit in Castlevania, in most Castlevanias, you'll get knocked back. And that's a severe handicap for the series. It's one of the only things I don't like about the series. It's not much of a problem in the later games, because in the later games there's not that many bottomless pits. But in the classic games, especially the first 3, there is tons of bottomless pits. And I swear, when you get knocked back, you're like pulled towards whatever pit. Whatever can kill you, you are gravitated towards it. I swear. There's no concrete evidence, but I swear it happens. This section you gotta be quicker, the merman will spit at you and knock you off. Which is never good, because when you die... Oh, I'm about to die right here, so I'll explain it then. This is a great example of what I'm talking about. You just gravitate towards the pits. See, I'm going after the skeleton? Gravitate towards the pit. When you die, you lose your upgraded whip, so the first candle you break will always have an upgrade for your whip. But you gotta search for the second one just by breaking candles. You'll eventually find it. The first upgrade will turn your leather whip into a chain whip, and the second upgrade will turn that chain whip into a longer chain whip, which is always nice. I'm not sure if there is a damage boost from the second one to the third one. There might be. I'm pretty sure there is one from the first to the second. Well, I'm not sure about the second to the third. Somebody please confirm that for me. I'm not quite sure. This section is full of these bone dragons, as I like to call them. And I do not like this enemy. Not so much of a problem in this stage, but later stages, they become quite the nuisance, I might say. And they take quite a few hits to defeat. This section right here, I get owned by ravens. Look at how much health they take off me. Half health they get off me. Luckily, there is a pork chop in the candle right about here. Yes, there's a pork chop right there. A small pork chop will refill a third of your health, you know, around there, and a full pork chop will restore like 3/4, I'd say. I'm not quite sure on the exact numbers. But here we have a boss. It is the two-headed serpent from the cover of this game. Not the most difficult boss, but I'll explain what happens. The two dragons each have different attacks. One of them shoots fireballs in a three-way direction, right there, 3 different directions, and the other one will shoot a stream of fire, like you just saw right there. The stream of fire is quite easy to dodge. You can just go down or up, but the three-way fire, you gotta be either going back farther will help you dodge it, or just being in the completely, you know, opposite, as in like vertical. If he's on top, you'd be on bottom. But enough hits and it'll go down. You shouldn't have a problem with this boss, especially if you have a cross. That's the end of this video. Until next time, guys, this is UAA signing out.